Praise the Lord and welcome back to Abundant Life with Dr. Jacqueline Powell. I just wanted to touch bases again with you today. How's it going? How is your journey with pursuing that abundant life that we've been talking about? The other night, I talked to you about establishing 5 things that you love about yourself, 5 things that you needed to work on, 5 people that you can count on, 5 people that you needed to reach out to, and 5 people are 5 things that you're grateful for. And so when I was talking to you about those things, I started talking about how it's important that we are able to identify things that we love about ourselves. So yesterday, that's what we talked about, is being able to love yourself. And I told you about, I thought it was like 13 to 1, that if you make one negative comment, that it takes 13 comments in order to correct that or to repair that. And I did a little research and I found out that it's a little bit less than that. Well, actually about half of that. So I found out for every negative comment that you make, you need to make 5 positive. So every negative, 5 positive. Also that, people that have teams where they build respect, and medical personnel or different, people that is, trying to establish some different experiences, they say that that's what works in that environment. So when they're building teams, like in the hospital's medical staff and things like that, that's what it is. They said 5 to 1. So kind of keeping that in mind with, I guess, the training and the way that they really approach talking to people. I know that in the praise versus corrective, because a lot of times, we're raising children and we're trying to help them to become the best that they can be, where it says that whenever you have a corrective comment or something some behavior that you're correcting, you need to counter that with 4 praises, 4 things of praise. And so I think that we kind of got that off balance, when kids are not doing the right thing, or when we're dealing with, different behaviors that we're trying to correct. I don't know about you, but I don't think that I practiced that exactly like that. I do remember knowing that you had to counter, those negative comments, even when we were raising our boys, understanding that, I didn't want to always have negative comments out there without coming back with some positive things. And so I'm glad that I was aware of that. But it's amazing to me to think about, how many people are probably dealing with behavioral issues with kids and, dealing with situations and not really understanding that. So it's important to, do research, and better, you do better, right? And so being able to try to work on doing that so that we can get the best possible product, when it comes to trying to raise up a kid, or, make sure that we are seeding into others. I did also some information that I found out. For bad emotions, bad parents, bad feedback, you have to have, it has a greater impact than good. So if you have bad experiences, bad parents, bad emotions, different things that you're dealing with, that usually has a greater impact. So for example, if you had, something happen in your life that was traumatic, or something negative, that happened in your life, it's like that sticks with people more. It's like, you ever heard the saying, misery loves company? So kind of keeping that stuff in mind is just that people kind of gravitate to that. I kind of talked to you about how even in the news, it's always all negative, even though there is some good things that are going on. And so when you think about how that one negative experience is going to have a greater impact, this is not just talking about a negative comment countered by 5 positive comments. This is talking about the impact that any experience that someone has, a negative experience, is going to, be lasting. It's going to have more of an impression on them. Bad information is processed more than good. And I think that that's kind of how, the world is set up, and we just kind of, keep doing that. But we have to be intentional about changing that. We have to do something about that. So bad information processed more than good, people are going to stick right there. And, it's really funny because I've had that happen, where you say something to someone, a corrective behavior or something to them, try to encourage them, but to say to them, whatever it is you are trying to help them to process or help them to grow in. And you can turn around and say 10 different things that, how great they are and how, blessed you are to have them in your life and all that kind of stuff. And then they just get stuck with that one little comment. And it's like, this is all in order to help us to grow. It's like, how many want to grow? I do. It's like, I want to have a covering, that is concerned about me, concerned enough to tell me if there's something that I need to fix or correct. I praise God for the covering that we have in ministry, because, I believe that if there was something off or if there was something that I needed help with, they're gonna, she's gonna correct me. She's gonna talk to me about it. We call her Bishop Mama. Bishop Mama is going to tell me what it is I need to work on, or, is at least going to have a conversation with me to find out where, why did this happen, or, what's my opinion about what happened, instead of just listening to what someone else may say and then just taking that and run with it. So I think, as leaders, as people that are raising others, as people that are, nurturing people all the time, is, we are making sure that we're trying to keep people from being scarred or people from being mishandled, when it comes to, experiences with church and different things. And it's just amazing to me how ill-equipped sometimes that we are when it comes to dealing with leaders. Some leaders, like I said, I speak for myself. I want to know if there's something that I'm not doing correctly or something that I need to be checked on. By all means, now I do want you to kind of balance that out, give me some good feedback too. Don't just come and tell me, all of the negative stuff. And so that's what we have to keep in mind. How do we want to be treated? Okay. I also read that a single traumatic experience can have a long-term effect on a person in their health, in their well-being, in their attitudes, in their self-esteem, their anxiety, and behavior. And so you think about that, there's a lot of trauma going on. There's a lot of traumatic experience, even, COVID and all of that. We're still dealing from the trauma that happened with that. We're still dealing from, different things that we're dealing with. But people that experience, like a rape or, a really bad car accident or terminal illness, different things that they may be feeling, or dealing with, those are traumatic things, and so those traumatic things can affect different parts of your body, different parts of your life. So your health, a lot of times people that are dealing with health issues has a lot to do with things that are unprocessed. We have to process trauma. You've heard me talk about Mind, Body, and Medicine, and that is a certification that I have. And it is focused on helping people to deal with past trauma. Even as, educators and whatever field that you may work in, you experience secondary trauma based on the stories that people tell you. People that are working in hospitals or people that are in leadership positions that are dealing with different crisis situations, you may not have been involved one-on-one in a crisis, but if somebody shares with you a traumatic situation and they give you details, you also have some trauma that goes along with that. And so when we don't know how to process that trauma, it stays there. So unresolved trauma turns into PTSD. So you have to be able to process that trauma. And remember, I talked to you a while back. If you haven't been listening for a while, you can do some meditative breathing. That breathing, you activate what's called the vagus nerve, and that nerve will help to regulate your body. It brings your blood pressure down and allows you to be able to, establish a place of homeostasis. And so understanding that we need that in our health, because we always have things that, we're dealing with in our body and, just different things that we're dealing with. Some of it has to do with some traumatic experience that you had. So don't just think that, if something traumatic happens and you don't have anything happening as a result of that right now, it doesn't mean that it's gone away. It doesn't mean that you processed it. We have to process that stuff. So people have been in abusive relationships and then they think they can just shake it off, get out of that relationship and move on. And they don't deal with what it is they were dealing with in that relationship, you have to go back and process. You got to go back and catch up with that, so that you will be able to, breathe and be able to move forward without it popping back up different ways. Because a lot of things that we're responding based on the past. We are responding based on what it didn't have anything to do with what is happening right now, but it has more to do with what happened in the past, and we just have not really processed it. So following negative experiences, we have to have at least 5 positive ones, right? So when you think about some of the things that you're dealing with as you're going along, I know that we got a lot of making up to do with the positive things that we got going on. I know that my mom and my sister and I, just been enjoying this spring break. My mom said today, she said, I've enjoyed our spring break, because she knows that we've been able to spend more time around her. But these are all good, positive experiences that I'm having, but I think about, sometimes if there's a negative thing that happened, you have to intentionally set up some positive things. And that's one of the things I told you. I remember I told you to write down 5 things that you really enjoy. Some things that you like to do, something, when you write down those kinds of things, and that wasn't in the last assignment, that was a couple of posts ago, but there's some things that I told you to write down that you enjoy. What do you enjoy doing? And so now you can intentionally, when you have a negative experience, then go ahead and counter that with some of those things that is on your list. So, for example, if you enjoy a bubble bath with, the television on, or, whatever it is that you like to do, then whenever you have a bad experience, get your list of things that you enjoy and do 5 of those things, right? Or come up with some new things. Always be thinking about, what do you really enjoy? What do you like? What makes you smile? What makes you laugh? I know that I've had some experiences before. If I'm having, a crazy day, something has happened and it just kind of, starts wearing on me emotionally, I would go around my grandbabies. I need to hold a baby right now, right? And so you got to be able to know what things will allow you to be able to counter what it is you're dealing with. And don't just pack it down, go to bed, wake up the next day, carrying this stuff that you haven't processed, you haven't dealt with, right? There's many ways to be able to deal with different things, and we'll be sharing some of that, a little bit later on. But today, my whole thing is about understanding that there is 5 positive things that you need to experience if you have one negative thing that happens. Or if you share something negative, counter it with 5 positive things about that, okay? And so it's some work. It takes some work to be able to do that. But we know in the long run, that's exactly what we want, is for people to turn out right? For people to be blessed, for people to be, appreciated and encouraged. And if it takes 5 to 1, then we just got to work on doing that, right? All right. Well, thank you for paying attention today to this information, and I hope that it's helping you. It's really helping me, because even as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about some things that I too, need to make sure that I'm incorporating in everything that I'm doing every day. All right. I want you to subscribe, to share, and to like. Continue to tune in. I enjoy spending this time with you. I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.